What? No. You gotta be kidding me. We still on. What's up, guys? BC coming at you. We just finished recording the Raw review. Literally just shut down all the production lights. Hopefully you guys can even see me. As long as you can hear me, that's all that matters. Massive news. When I say breaking news, when I say massive news, it does not get bigger than this. Literally I probably will just put this in front of the review that I just cut for Raw. I had a lot to say about it. It's over an hour long of a review. I can speak. So a diesel Monday Night Raw review is coming at you guys. But the second I got done recording, I just shut down the production lights. I just got news, guys, that WWE Raw is headed to Netflix in a $5 billion 10-year deal. Netflix to stream WWE's Raw starting next year. Its biggest jump into live entertainment for the streaming service Netflix. The article by CNBC, Netflix and TKO Group. Oh, wow, hold on. More breaking news involving The Rock. Dwayne Johnson. I got even bigger news, or not bigger, but massive news with Dwayne Johnson, guys. I'll get to that in a second. All this news, I just finished an hour plus long Raw review, and now the real good stuff is coming out now. Netflix and TKO Group Holdings said Tuesday that the streaming platform will air WWE's flagship program Raw starting next year in Netflix's first major foray into live sports. The 10-year deal is valued at more than $5 billion according to a company filing. This makes sense. There was no way a cable company, there's not any way a USA Network, a Warner network, or any cable network, not even a Fox, not broadcast, nobody was giving them this amount of money. They were going to have to go to a streaming service. We really thought it was going to be Amazon Prime. Netflix will have the option to exit the deal. Whoa. After 5 years, and to extend it for another decade. So they can leave after 5 years or add another decade to it. So if they are happy with the amount of subscribers going to Netflix because of WWE, they'll add to it. They could leave this deal after just 5 years. Netflix has been known to drop shows, snap of a finger, blink of an eye, if they're not performing well. They've done it so many times, many shows that I've really enjoyed, they've taken off the air. So I don't see this going more than 5 years. But they have the option. Wow, this is no wonder this deal took so long. First of all, WWE couldn't get the cable provider to deliver this amount of cash. And number two, this is a detailed contract between the two. The streaming platform will be able to stream Raw globally and will start the agreement with exclusive rights to it in the US, Canada, UK, and Latin America. Netflix will also become the home for all WWE shows and specials outside the US, including SmackDown and NXT, as well as WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Royal Rumble. Wait, whoa, what? Netflix will also become the home for all WWE shows and specials. Wait, does that mean... But SmackDown is going to USA, so USA has cut a deal with... Obviously, they're talking about the replays of SmackDown and NXT, correct? WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Royal Rumble. Wait, what? I don't understand. That's all on Peacock, but that ends end of next year. So is WrestleMania and all that going to go to Netflix as well? That's what they're saying, correct? TKO shares spiked more than 20% following the news in a separate announcement that actor and former wrestling superstar Dwayne Johnson, this is the news that I was just getting, guys, Dwayne Johnson would join its board of directors. Netflix shares rose less than 1% hours before the company was set to report earnings after the bell Tuesday. Netflix, which is trying to drive revenue by cutting down on subscription sharing and pushing viewers toward its ad tier membership, has made few attempts at live programming in its history. Adding Raw, which currently airs on the USA Network and produces 3 hours of live programming per week per year round, to its programming lineup will be a boon to the platform and a significant historical shift for Netflix. TKO President and Chief Operating Officer Mark Shapiro says this is a super game changer. When you look back at the chapters of sports media history, new chapters are driven by extraordinary new paradigms. ESPN and Turner bringing NFL to cable in 1987, or Rupert Murdoch bringing football to Fox in 1994. When new histories are written, Raw on Netflix will be such a chapter starter. Netflix has dabbled into sports recently with documentary-type series about Formula One and professional golf, tennis, and football. This deal will allow Netflix to tap into WWE's intellectual property for similar projects. They have one coming up for Vince McMahon, actually, his documentary. With WWE's permission, Netflix could even develop movies or series around WWE characters. One of the insiders in WWE has said, for TKO, the parent company of WWE, striking a deal with Netflix brings WWE wrestling to about 250 million global subscribers. WWE President Nick Khan has said Netflix was on his radar as a potential landing spot for Raw for several years. He discussed the world's largest streamer on a WWE earnings call in the first quarter of 2022, referencing how Netflix has shown openness to changing long-held stances, such as rejecting advertising and cracking down on password sharing. Netflix is willing to make adjustments and reverse positions when it identifies an issue, Khan said back in 2022. TKO held discussions with other media companies, but zeroed in on Netflix in December, according to people familiar with the matter. Yeah, well, money talks, and Netflix was willing to pay the most. Netflix's global footprint, which outreaches every other streaming service, was a key draw for WWE. This is one of the greatest entertainment platforms in the world, Shapiro said of Netflix. It has marketing you can't even comprehend, and it has positioning that's unparalleled in terms of what they can do on their front page. Raw is the top program on USA, drawing 17.5 million unique viewers per year. Shapiro said on Amazon's ability to stream Thursday Night Football this season without a glitch, and Peacock's recent success streaming a National Football League playoff game gave him confidence that Netflix will be a technologically sound streaming service for Raw, even if it hasn't done anything like this on a consistent basis yet. Whew, that's a lot to unfold. That's the full article, the first article written from CNBC about the situation, with comments from TKO Holdings and Netflix. The other big news story that broke is WWE announcing that Dwayne The Rock Johnson he now is a board of director in TKO Group Holdings, which is where WWE currently trades at. TKO Holdings, UFC, WWE. They have a new board of director, and it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson. When he said there's big things to come, this dude is sitting at the board of directors for WWE, UFC, TKO, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, man. Congratulations. What a moment for Dwayne Johnson, bro. He is on the board of directors. I told you something big's happening with his football league, too. USFL, XFL joining together, UFL. And Vince McMahon still wants that blueprint in the football league. I think this is big for Vince as well. So TKO has made Johnson's appointment to the board official with a press release. WWE announced it has agreed with Johnson to give him full ownership of the trademark on his ring name, The Rock. So The Rock is now fully owned by WWE's Dwayne Johnson now. Not even WWE's. He's his own man now. The Rock is owned by The Rock now. The trademark is solely Dwayne Johnson's now forever. It's always been in conjunction with Vince McMahon, guys. He can use the name, but Vince always got royalties on that, always got a part of that. Now, WWE has announced it has agreed with Johnson to give him full ownership for the trademark on the name The Rock. Ari Emanuel, the president of TKO, the CEO, if you will, the boss, Ari Emanuel, CEO of TKO, says, I am thrilled to partner with Dwayne and welcome his immense talent to TKO's board. Dwayne brings an incredible track record of creating content and building globally recognized consumer brands. He will play a key role in realizing our ambitions for TKO. This is massive. Absolutely massive. So that's the breaking news. We're going to talk a lot more about this. I may have to go live at some point, I'm sure. It's Rumble weekend. Listen, there's a lot to talk about with Monday Night Raw. Let's take this one step at a time. I'll try to find out more on this, and we'll talk about it more. For now, guys, grab a beverage, maybe a hot coffee or a cold beverage. Relax and listen to over an hour of the Monday Night Raw review that I just literally cut for you guys. And I promise it'll be a much lighter in the office studio with that review. We got amplified. We talked about a lot of what happened last night. So enjoy that review, guys. It's coming up right now. Wow, man. Netflix, $5 billion, 10 years. Dwayne Johnson's on the board. BC, take it away with the Raw review. Well, that was a go-home show. This one to the Royal Rumble. This was one of those wacky Paul Levesque McMahon productions where the crowd in attendance is confused and those of us watching have no idea what is going on. A main event between two heels, or maybe it's a heel and a tweener. Damien Priest versus Drew McIntyre. So the crowd cannot get behind anybody. They want to cheer, they want to care, but there's nobody to cheer for or with. Drew McIntyre at times tapped into his face self, right? 3, 2, 1 before the Claymore party. It's a party. It's a Claymore party. And everybody does the little 3, 2, 1. And then afterwards, you start to hear a little bit of boos because people are like, oh yeah, we should be booing him though, right? And then everybody else just goes absolutely silent because they're like, they want to like Drew, but I think they feel like, oh, he's a heel, I shouldn't cheer. So the crowd is absolutely sitting on their thumbs at that point. And the show goes off the air with a simplistic W. And Michael Cole says, that's it. See you Saturday night for the Rumble. Good night, everybody. What? You don't want a little bit more of a cliffhanger? It's WrestleMania season. The Rumble is this Saturday. It's a go-home show. Drew just picks up a W and you say goodnight, everybody? So if you weren't going to buy the Royal Rumble, now after seeing Drew beat Damien Priest, that's going to really make you whip out your wallet faster than Otis eats a cheeseburger. I doubt it very much. I've seen Otis eat a cheeseburger, by the way. Ain't no way you're taking your wallet out faster than that. The point is, that's your final selling point on your 3-hour Raw go-home show is Drew McIntyre beating Damien Priest with a crowd that couldn't care less. It doesn't make sense. Becky Lynch is running away from Nia Jax. She's running away from Nia Jax. Becky Lynch is most likely, or at least the top contender to actually win the Rumble and actually go to face Rhea Ripley for the championship at WrestleMania. She's like the lead person right now. Vegas has her at number 1, top spot. And Becky Lynch is getting literally squashed by Nia a couple weeks ago. This week, she's running away from Nia Jax. So the best booking you have for Becky 2 months from WrestleMania, if she's going for this big title match, is to make her get squashed and then run away, and she's doubting herself, and then a few weeks before Mania, she's going to gain her confidence. Or she's walking into the Royal Rumble after running away from Nia, getting squashed by Nia. She's going to defeat 29 other females, and her confidence is back right before Mania. I guess that's the story. I'm still seeing Becky Lynch run away from Nia Jax. Bronson Reed, Bronson Reed claimed last week that he's after a champion, and that champion has no idea he's going to take the title. This week, he has a completely new mission statement. It's like he forgot what he even said last week. This week, he just wants Jey Uso in the future. That doesn't make sense. Is there a different writer for Bronson every week and they're just not talking to one another? Bronson Reed is saying one thing one week, another thing another week, and you wonder why the audience is confused. You have damage control on this show. That's right. From the Blue brand, SmackDown, to promote Royal Rumble, Pierce said at some point in the show. Wait till you hear how they booked damage control last night, especially Bayley. Wait till you hear this. Because this morning, they're probably all thinking, why did we ever get on that plane after LeVec McMahon gave us the call? The biggest talking point out of last night is actually two faces, Cody Rhodes and CM Punk, facing off. Nose to nose, literally. Right? A good moment of the show. The problem is, that was the biggest part of the show. And they're not taking on each other one-on-one anytime in the foreseeable future. So that's the biggest talking point. I got 3 pages and I got two and a half pages of notes. I can't tell you how much substance is really in these notes. I called it exactly as I viewed it last night, and that's what you're going to get in this review, the full amplified truth on this show. Some good, that's the good news. A lot of not so good, that's the not so good news. And I guess some tweener, right? Some stuff in the middle, like Drew McIntyre's character, right? We got some tweener stuff. A little bit of good, a little bit of bad. And we'll go over all of it. Anyway, let's do it all right now. I'm going to take a big swig of this Dunkin' Extra coffee. And we're going to get started, man. We actually started with Sethington Rollins. He made the call on his future, and that's exactly what BC told you we were hearing in the preview show that I put up before Monday Night Raw. So exactly what we were hearing, Seth Rollins confirmed it. We'll talk all about it and everything that happened on this show. 4 nights away now from the Royal Rumble. Salute, let's do this. Amplified style. All right, so this show, Monday Night Raw for January 22nd, 2024, already the end of January. Wasn't it just New Year's? If I blink, it's going to be 2025. This was the go-home show to the Royal Rumble. Sethington Rollins starts the show. Everybody waiting to hear what he has to say about his future after that injury sustained in the match against Jinder Mahal. And if you guys saw the preview that I put up a couple of hours before Raw, I told you guys that the decision was made to have Seth Rollins literally take this day by day, but to keep the plans for WrestleMania. CM Punk, Seth Rollins. So surgery was recommended, but it's been put on the shelf. We already know Sethington is taking time off after Mania for the back. Now add this on to the list of things that need to be fixed after WrestleMania for Seth Rollins. But that's just the way it is. Seth Rollins, there was just no way that he could see himself not at WrestleMania, let alone the fans not having that match. He's going to try to go ahead with the original plans. That's what we were hearing before the show. So now we just needed to hear it from the horse's mouth himself, right? Hear it from Sethington Rollins, because the whole community was already asking, if the title is vacated, are they going to put the title up at the Royal Rumble? Is the vacated title going to be determined at the Elimination Chamber? Are they going to do another silly tournament? Well, Sethington Rollins started the show and put all of those questions to bed. He said the docs did recommend surge. He basically tore his entire knee up. And if he does the surge, it's going to be a rehab time of approximately 4 months. 4 months would take him past WrestleMania, obviously. So he decided, no, we're going to take it day by day. And I am going into WrestleMania with this championship. I'm coming out of WrestleMania with this championship. Now, of course, we all know that's not the case. Again, the back injury and now the leg injury, all of the other nagging injuries that he wants to finally correct. We already knew. I told you guys, I reported this long ago. He's taking time off after Mania. Now you add the leg injury into the mix, and he's definitely taking time off after Mania. At this point, we've reached the point where it's just about limping into WrestleMania, literally and figuratively, doing the deed, and just getting out, going on a long vacation to heal up. That's where we're at right now with Seth Rollins. That's it. Somehow find a way to get to Mania, put on a halfway decent match with Punk, which they will. Consummate professionals, they don't need to do all the flips and the dives. That's what got Seth Rollins injured, right? He said it was off the moonsault in that sequence where he did the springboard right into the moonsault on the other side of the ring. I told you guys that's where the injury occurred, right? We broke that down in the review. So you don't need all these moonsaults and all that. These wrestlers are getting banged up because they're trying to do all this wacky shit that nobody is going to go back and watch a second time. Some of the matches I've watched 1,000 times involved nothing but punches, kicks, body slams, clotheslines. The wrestlers were larger than life. There was a storyline I really cared about, and the match captivated me. The mannerisms, the expressions, the shit talking, all of the fun. The atmosphere. That's all it takes. So I have no doubt they're still going to knock it out of the park at Mania, even with a 65% Seth Rollins. You may see him even better. In fact, I always like to tell the Mike Mussina story in situations like this. Mike Mussina was a New York Yankees pitcher, and one of his big goals was always to win 20 games in a season. That's a really big deal for pitchers. If you can win 20 games in a season, believe it or not, it's not done often. And he always wanted to do that. He just never could. Every year went by and he never got 20. He got close, right? 17, maybe 19 even, maybe. But he never won 20 games. In his last year, there was no question that he was going to come nowhere close to 20 games, right? He's older now. He lost a lot of heat on that fastball, obviously, because he's older. So, we were just going to have a nice send-off, try to win maybe 11, 12 games, possibly, find a way. No, this dude said, what do I have over everybody else in the league that's younger than me? Wisdom, right? He has wisdom. I have no longer the heat that I used to have, the velocity on that fastball, but I have the wisdom and the knowledge to pinpoint that ball exactly to go where I want it to go. So what he did in his final year in baseball is he started to really zone in on every pitch and where it was going. And one strikeout after the other led to one win after the other. In his last year in baseball, Mike Mussina won 20 games. He finally hit that milestone. And he did it with a lot less velocity on the fastball because he found another way. Right? That's what really good consummate professionals, that's what they do. They say, all right, I'm hindered in that area. I have that major weakness that is weighing on me. But I'm going to tap into one of my other assets. I'm going to tap into a whole new other area, and I'm going to amplify that area. And you're going to see a whole nother great side of me, maybe even better than if that area wasn't weakened. That's when the best become the best. That's when they shine the brightest and everybody takes notice. Steve Austin, he was taken out of action when he got that neck injury in the Owen Hart match. You guys remember that, right? He couldn't wrestle. I don't know if a lot of you guys understand. You were seeing him every week, right? He was involved in the big Vince McMahon storyline. And in fact, that was the time when that exploded. The Vince and Stone Cold storyline. It was that exact time. So you don't even realize because he was a part of the show every week. Guys, he couldn't wrestle. Go back to that time. Watch all the Raws. He was not wrestling. He couldn't. He was out with injury for a long time. But they decided, all right, listen, you have so much more to offer. You're more than just getting into the ring and doing a bunch of moves and sequences. Stone Cold Steve Austin is way more larger than life than just what he can do in the ring. So they decided to strengthen or at least put the spotlight on those aspects of Steve Austin. And what happened is every week that he would show up, he just got more popular. They would have this dude running down Vince McMahon with a monster truck, coming to the arena in a beer truck or a Zamboni, filling up Vince McMahon's Corvette with cement. This dude was doing the wackiest things, and he was just gaining more and more steam and more popularity. This was all done while he technically couldn't even wrestle, and he wasn't having any wrestling matches for months. That's a side whole rant or discussion, I know, but the point is, when an area is taken away from you, if you're truly really good at what you do, you're not just going to survive regardless, you're going to thrive because of. Man, this is an opportunity for Seth Rollins, especially after Rumble, to really ignite something special with Punk. And this is while Rollins has 0 matches. I'm good before even WrestleMania. If Rollins' next match is Mania, I'm cool with it. Absolutely cool with it. Just have him show up every week and concentrate. Here's a wild concept. Concentrate on the storyline between Punk and Rollins. That's all you got to do. I'd rather that than seeing Seth Rollins have matches every week. I've seen 1 billion+ wrestling matches. I get it. I can see great wrestling 18 times a week at the local bingo hall. But great storytelling with characters I care about, that intrigues me to whip out the wallet and spend my money on a pay-per-view premium live event. That's what I want. I want that feeling. Sell me on that. Seth Rollins is going to be just fine. Keep him out of the ring, at least wrestling-wise. Concentrate on the story. And this is going to be more epic than it would have been, because now you can solely concentrate on the storyline. Don't worry about booking Seth in matches. I like this. Now, Gunther came to the ring. Gunther said, I'm going to win the Rumble. I'm going to win the Rumble. It's a horrible accent, but you get the point. I'm going to win the Rumble, he says. And then I'm going to go for your championship because you have a bad back. You have a bad leg. You have all these nagging injuries. So I'm going to go after your title. But I thought Gunther is this honorable competitor, right? He's Gunther. I'm going to prove I'm better than you. Wouldn't he go after Roman? No, he says, because you're about 10% of what you usually are, I'm going to take your title. So you're saying, well, BC, he's playing the heel, man. That's what you're going to want, right? The heel is going to try to find the easiest way out. Okay. But then you contradict that because the end of the segment was Gunther shaking the hand of the face Seth Rollins. Well, the heels wouldn't do that, man. Gunther is supposed to be a diabolical heel. Right? Is there any diabolical heels on Monday Night Raw? Judgment Day is your big badass faction, and they're running around in comedy segments throughout the entire night with R-Truth. Drew McIntyre should have been one of the most dominant heels on Monday Night Raw, but instead he's a tweener. We'll talk about that coming up. So it'd only be Gunther left, and he's shaking the hands of Rollins last night. Like they're just buddies, right? Like buddies at the bar that both like the same girl. And they're like, all right, well, I'm going to get her, man. No, I'm going to get her. I have the better moves. And they just shake hands, right? May the best man win. So you can't say, but well, BC, it fits his character that he's going to go after a broken down Seth and not try to be the one to take out Roman. It makes sense. Okay, then why is he shaking his hand afterwards, right? I'm going to go after you and take your title because you're broken down. That's right. I'm going to take the easy way out. And then they just shake hands like they're buddies. I'm going to screw you over. See you there, man. All right, yeah. I'll give you a call. All right, check you, man. Yeah. No, I'll fuck you over at WrestleMania, dude. Okay, man, I'll talk to you. What are we doing, guys? What are we doing? This has to be thought through because you're going to come across, it can't just be BC. You're going to come across literally smart fans. Not the cute little phrase in the wrestling world, right? A smart fan. No, literally like a brilliant fan when it comes to pro wrestling, right? Somebody that actually thinks this stuff through and wants to be captivated, right? We'll suspend the disbelief, or as I call it, suspend belief. We'll enter the wacky world of pro wrestling because we love it. We just want you, the promoter, to meet us halfway, right? Allow us to believe all the craziness, all the wackiness that you are producing, right? Allow us to meet you halfway. But if you can't even fill in the logic gaps yourself and the fans have to, that's never a good thing. Luckily, companies like WWE, they have enough fans that don't care, right? They just want to enjoy wrestling, right? They don't care what is on the show, guys. They will like it. They come across a channel like this and they're like, wow, you just don't like it. No, I love it, actually. I know it could be even better if we just fill in the gaps to allow the smarter fans to enjoy it as much as you are, right? That's all we want. We can't lower our standards, right? We tried to lower them as far as we could. We hit a breaking point, right? Now we're going to ask you guys to raise yours. We can only go so low. At some point, you got to raise yours a little. Just a little bit. Just raise those standards. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Oh, man. This might go 4 hours. I've had a lot of coffee. It's like, what, 6, 7 a.m., something. Yeah, it's early, but I've already had a lot of coffee. And there's a lot that I want to discuss, man. You know, it's WrestleMania season. If we can get all of these little nagging things that Paul Levesque McMahon cannot comprehend, if we can just get that situated before the real build to Mania begins, which is in 1 week, right after the Rumble, if we can get that situated, we can get a lot better product, man, for all of us, right? Because it will make more sense. It'll put the wrestlers in a better spotlight. Anyway, segment number 1, Seth Rollins. I will be at WrestleMania, but we are taking it a day at a time. He is not vacating the title. And then Gunther comes out, says, I'm going to win the Rumble, and I'm going to choose you because you're broken down, and I'm basically just going to screw you over. And then they shake hands. And Seth is like, all right, thanks for telling me, man. Gunther's like, all right, man, I'll see you in the back. We'll have a cup of coffee. Now, the first match of the night was New Day versus Imperium. This was a double countout. Not much more I can say there, man. They've been having like singles match, maybe even a tag match before, but singles matches that just have not been ending with a straight up victor, which I'm cool with. And this one, same scenario, double countout, post-match brawl. So they've been brawling nonstop. New Day, Imperium, again, a lot of it one-on-ones. Giovanni was injured. For real, actually, during a match, so he had to be taken out. And then the next week, they storyline injured Kofi Kingston, so this left Xavier Woods, who had just gotten back, to pretty much take on Ludwig Kaiser. And then they had a match that didn't really end in a legit pin or submission, anything like that, and a post-match brawl. So you just saw the same thing with all 4 dudes last night. All 4 of them battle into the crowd, and they all go through a production table in the crowd. You know how they have all the electrical tables, I guess. It's set up, too. These type of tables are set up just for situations like this. I love it because it adds a little bit more to the show. It shows they care, right? It's not just a post-match brawl. We'll have Jason Jordan, Jamie Noble in some suits and ties, and some referees come up, break it up. No, it's like, hey, what if we set some tables up and do a spot out there? You know, it's simplistic. It's just a little bit of extra. But at least somebody cares enough to do it. So all 4 of them, it's a really good visual too, right? The camera D is up on them. So the camera D is pretty much like he's somebody in the crowd. So that's the point of view you're getting with camera D. And you see all these 4 dudes up on this little platform. And then they all go through the tables that were set up for the spot. So anyway, I like it, right? A little extra level of care. What a concept. Now, Michael Cole says this feud, after everybody is through the tables, this feud is far from over, Michael Cole says. And BC said, oh, joy. All kidding aside, I mean, I can't say that this is a tag team match that I crave going forward, but I love the serious side of the New Day, man. I ask this all the time for wrestlers like Miz, Street Profits, and Matt Riddle for so long. You know, like when they're serious, man, they're really good. And you forget that because their comedy is always just, it's like Vincent Kennedy McMahon and Paul Levesque McMahon. They share so many things in common. And of course, Levesque McMahon learned from Vincent Kennedy, so I'm not surprised. But one of those things is once you're tagged as something, that's just how they view you. So the comedy is just what you are now to these people. And they're more than that. And I love how later on in the night, they did a backstage interview with the New Day. And Kofi's like, see, that's what people don't understand. They see the unicorns and the booty-os and the trumpets, and they think that's just what we are. No, when you push us to this point, you're going to know this is the New Day you don't want to see. And Imperium now is going to see it. Something along those lines. I loved it. Put down the trumpet every now and again. Slide over the booty-os to the other direction. Stop the dancing, right? The Street Profits joining Bobby Lashley, but then still doing some of their antics. I said, no, completely evolve. Don't regress. Just evolve. If you're going to form this faction and be something different and new, be something different and new. Matt Riddle, I said that for the longest time, and every time Matt Riddle was serious, it was the best Matt Riddle. Unfortunately, he would go right back to the comedy the next week, and it wasn't long before he was out of the company. It was going to happen no matter what. Miz, for sure. When you get serious Miz, you're getting the best promos. I actually care about what the Miz is doing when he's firing on all cylinders and serious, and then when he's talking about the mega balls or whatever, it's eye-rolling. It's like, oh, here we go, man. Can we just get this Miz TV over with? New Day. Serious New Day, man. That's more fun than any other version. To BC, and I know a lot of you guys. I like that energy, that amplification from them. More of that, please. But of course, maybe even starting next week, you'll get the booty-os and the trumpets and all that, because Levesque McMahon will go, well, can we bring it back? It's funny. And a lot of the crowd, we got a lot of youngsters. They really like the booty-os. That's what they do, right? And before you know it, they're dancing out with the trumpets and booty-os again. And you got all the unicorns and... But this is good. It's a different side, man. They're going through tables. They got the crowd pumped up. Their promo is more amplified. More of that. So that's absolutely a massive, massive positive. The only thing I would say to tweak a little bit is add something more now. We've already seen all the brawls. Now add more, right? Take parking lot. Honestly, New Day is showing up. Imperium literally takes them out. Not in the locker room, not backstage. I'm talking parking lot, guys. They're literally coming. Maybe they're in the road. They're about to take that left turn into the arena parking lot, but a car is stopped, right? I'm going to give you some amplified book. You want to go? BC, whatever happened to amplified booking? You guys know I took that away because we started to think of so many creative things that just when the show happened, it wasn't even a quarter of what we came up with. And it was actually depressing. Because we get all hyped up from amplified booking, and then WWE did what they did, and mine was way up here, and their booking was way down here. So I had to do away with it, because we were just getting our hopes up too high. But I'm going to give you some amplified booking. You have New Day showing up to the arena, right? They take the left turn into the arena parking lot, and there's a car just blocking them. They're honking the horn. Maybe it's a driver, right? Maybe they're in a limo or an SUV, and there's a driver, but they're honking away. Get out. Well, maybe I kind of see Xavier actually driving. Xavier's driving. Kofi's out the passenger side window yelling at the car to move, and they're not moving. And you see that it's Imperium. Maybe even another car hits him from behind. Maybe Giovanni's in a car, hits him from behind, and Ludwig gets out, and they ambush him right in the car. Street. Not even in the parking lot of the arena yet. And it's a massive segment where New Day's getting beat down in the street or in the parking lot. I just got goosebumps. That's when you care. That's fun. Take it out of the ring. Take it out of the arena. And do something that people are going to remember. Those are the segments. I promise you, I've been viewing professional wrestling over 3 decades. The memories that last the longest are the ones that are worth lasting the longest. And that's something that's just magic. To me, that's simplistic booking, right? You think about it, you're like, oh, that would be really freaking nuts, bro. To me, that's just top of my dome. That's not in my notes. I just thought about that talking about this segment. Like, this is what I mean about writing professional wrestling. Have fun. Of course you have to have the prerequisites. You have to, it helps that BC is a writer. But just have fun. Have fun. That's all you have to. That's the biggest prerequisite if you're going to land a writing job for WWE. Have fun. Remember what you're doing. You get to write professional wrestling for the biggest company of professional wrestling, World Wrestling Entertainment. And I think what happens is they just feel like it's a job after just a few weeks on the job, right? They just feel like it's just redundancy. And they're treating it like they're going into Target for a 10-hour shift. You get to write for WWE, have fun. They get into this realm of redundancy, and everything feels the same, and everything is the same. Have fun, man. I'm just talking about this segment, and that just comes to mind. Like, what if we did this next week? That's fun. The Attitude Era, do you guys understand that they used to go to Vince McMahon's mansion? They would sit outside at the patio by the pool, and Russo and Ferreira and Vincent Kennedy, Pat Patterson back in the day would be there as well. They would all sit around and they would just go over all the ideas. So Vince Russo and Ed Ferreira would watch Jerry Springer and go over the initial copy. They would talk to Vince by the pool, and this is where they would do all of their thinking. And Vince McMahon would throw people in the pool. These are true story. Vince would always pull pranks. So while they're all doing a meeting, he would like throw people in the pool with the chair sometimes. Always pulling prank. They were just having fun. And what happened on the product? Fun. The Attitude Era. Everything was just wild. But so much thought was put into it. And if you think about it, it was simplistic at its core. Somewhere along the lines, the past decade plus, they forgot to have fun in that company. Creatively. When you have fun, man, that is so contagious. Deuce up, that's my one critique of Imperium and New Day. Now, if you're going to keep this going, because Michael Cole said it's long from over, this feud is far from done. All right, let's add more substance to it now. Let's do some different fun things, man. You can elevate this if you just care. We'll see. Now I want to see that, man. They're beeping their horn. Get out of the way. We're wrestlers. We're on the show tonight. It's freaking Imperium that gets out. And they don't even have a time. New Day can't even get out of the car. They're just getting freaking ambushed. Again, maybe Giovanni freaking runs. Gunther, maybe. Hits them from behind so they can't go anywhere. And then it's Giovanni and Ludwig that get out of the car in front of them. And the beating is on, man. They drag them out of the car. I mean, that's just fun. You're going to remember that. Now you got to see them take each other on in that ring, man. You'll even maybe whip out the wallet and pay for the Peacock month-to-month service so you can watch them at the next pay-per-view. Next up, backstage, Damien Priest. He was so great in this. I love this, man. Damien Priest says this. It was... You just, like, he was so sincere when he said it, I couldn't help but laugh. Backstage, Damien Priest, he says, so first of all, Judgment Day is having one of their powwows in the clubhouse. And Rhea Ripley tells Priest and Baszler that they have a tag title match next week. So Priest says, listen, and I quote, I'm not trying to go around fighting everyone. He says, every time you go to Pierce's office, you come back with a new match for us. He says, I have an idea. Stop going to his office. I have an idea. Stop going to his office. And the sincerity, guys, in his voice, in his face, I couldn't help but laugh. He was so serious. He's like, I'm trying to do this tag title thing. I got this damn briefcase. I don't know when to cash it in. Every time I try, it's failing. You got me just taking on everybody. I'm trying to concentrate on the singles thing with the briefcase. I'm trying to concentrate on tag titles. You got me in matches every single week. Every time you come out of Pierce's office. The stress is... I got R-Truth nagging me constantly. He goes, I have an idea. Stop going to his office. It was great, bro. Come on. I like Damien. I do. I tell you guys, my biggest critique is putting that briefcase on him because I truly feel it hinders him more than helps him. Instead of being I'm getting choked up thinking about his booking, man. I got you, Damien. Instead of being a little bit of a rocket for him to let him soar, right? You strap a briefcase on him and you're helping that's going to soar his momentum and popularity. But that briefcase didn't help him soar. Instead, it acted as an anchor, and it's actually holding him down. It's dragging him down. It's more of a detriment than a benefit. And that's the problem I have. I would have never put that briefcase on him because, guys, there's no solution or scenario, I should say. There's no scenario that would call for Damien to cash in that briefcase successfully. He's not going to beat Seth Rollins. He shouldn't be anyway. He's not beating CM Punk or Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes or The Rock. Whoever is going to be the new world champion, Priest is not beating them. He shouldn't be. Just to hope that's gonna skyrocket his momentum. No, you build him up first to the point where the crowd actually cares enough to watch the title change hands. Because the title is not gonna make the man has to make the title. This is the way it is. So that's my big critique with him. Other than that, I don't mind his promos at all. I like the dude. I see the potential. And, you know, the thing he had with Bad Bunny, I think I mentioned this in the preview upload yesterday before Raw. The match in the story he had with Bad Bunny. Loved it. You know, nothing was dragging him down. Nothing was holding him down. You didn't have to worry about briefcases or a title was on the line. You put him in a storyline with a match that was intriguing to people, and they delivered like we knew they would. Bad Bunny absolutely impressed, more so, I would say, than we thought he was going to, because it's Bad Bunny. We didn't have really any expectations, but they rocked out. But that's Damien Priest at his best. He doesn't need all that baggage right now. Baggage or briefcases. He doesn't need it. The faster that briefcase gets off of him, the better Damien Priest you're going to see. Funny as heck, man. I got an idea. Stop going to his office. Every time you come out, you got new matches for us. Hour number 1 ends with Ivy Nile defeating Van Halen, one of my favorite bands of all time. Ivy Nile defeats Van Halen via pinfall off her Pitbull finisher, which is a top rope bulldog. I like it. It takes too much time to set up. Either Ivy is taking too much time or the opponent is trying to get in good position to take the bulldog properly. Either way, if we can speed it up a little bit without anybody getting injured, if we can speed it up, we'll keep the move. If not, you got to come up with a different one. Because that Pitbull bulldog, it takes so much time to set up. And there was a moment, too, full transparency, there was a moment where Ivy looks at the crowd while she's on the top rope. So I don't mind that, right? If you're playing up to the crowd to anticipation to the move. The problem is, though, there was a lot of setting up beforehand and even after looking at the crowd. So if we can just speed that up a little bit, or, again, you don't want anybody to get injured. You're just going to have to come up with a different move. That's my one critique in this. Other than that, Ivy Nile, she's going to be massive. I truly feel Ivy Nile is one of those women, or just pro wrestlers in general, that just continues to impress. And she's a lot of fun, and she just keeps improving by the week. So Ivy Nile, she's just one of those individuals I was, just a couple weeks ago, I was not a fan of. It's like, all right, it's Ivy Nile. She kind of got called up way too quick. I don't know what we're doing. And in just a couple of weeks, I'm like, all right, this one, right? Like, I don't watch too much NXT, but thankfully I've been able to catch a lot of Tiffany Stratton. If I didn't, and they just called up Tiffany Stratton out of nowhere, I would have been like, what are we doing? What the fuck is this? What is she getting called up? Right? But instantly, I probably would have been a huge supporter of Tiffany Stratton, like within 2 weeks, just because she's so damn good. Ivy Nile's the same way. And unfortunately, I didn't get to see too much of Ivy in NXT. But the last 2 weeks, I'm already sold. Ivy Nile defeats Van Halen. And again, that was to end hour number 1. So hour number 2 kicks off with, oh boy, Nia Jax, Becky Lynch. Wait till you hear this. You thought getting squashed by Nile 2 weeks ago was bad. This may have just trumped that. Nia Jax starts hour 2. Becky Lynch interrupts about 60 seconds later, maybe. Nia Jax is just talking about like winning the Rumble and squashing everybody. So Becky comes out. And First of all, Becky was epic with this line. This was great. This is up there with the Damien Priest line. Becky Lynch says, and I quote, she says, the entire locker room, we just don't agree on many things, right? We all admit that, right? The women's locker room, we don't agree on a lot. But that entire locker room agrees on one thing, and that's the fact that nobody likes you. And she said that wasn't the best part. That was the setup to the best part. She goes, we all agree on one thing. Nobody likes you. In fact, you probably injured half of them. She said, we all agree that nobody likes you. In fact, you probably injured half of them. Come on, bro. That's hilarious. If you know Nia Jax's history of injuring a lot of individuals, which to this day, she says she's only injured 2. One of them was unfortunately twice. So to her admission, she says she's only injured 3 times, 2 individuals. But we know of at least 10 individuals and several of them many times. So I think a little bit of white lies, maybe not so little bit of a lie by Nia Jax. But Becky Lynch, hilariously, who was one of the ones that got injured, by the way, by Nia Jax, at the hands, literally, of Nia Jax, she says, half of them you injured anyway. That was great. That had BC rocking, bro. I'm like, she did not just call that out. That was great. Anyway, Bayley would come to the ring, and at this point, BC is totally WTF status. Like, what do we... Now, this is before Pierce even said why she's there, which they did a quick backstage segment an hour later, and Pierce tried to justify it. But at that point, Bayley's music is playing. She's from SmackDown, and you wonder why your audience is confused. Wonder no more. You don't honor a brand split. Bayley's coming out. And okay, if you got something really good planned, right? Something really good planned for Bayley, cool. Bayley comes out, and she just gets squashed by Nia Jax. I blinked. I think she got squashed. She either got thrown over the top rope and she disappeared. She turned into pixie dust, right? Some Harry Potter Expecto Petroleum. She was just gone because I blinked and Bayley was gone. But when I blinked, my eyes opened. I saw Nia Jax like kind of getting up. So I'm thinking that Bayley was squashed. But I just didn't see Bayley after I blinked. This is a true story. I blinked and Bayley was gone. Again, thrown over the top rope and completely disappeared. Or melted like the Wicked Witch of the West in Wizard of Oz. Just melted. Or she literally got squashed and turned into the size of a fucking peanut. A peanut M&M. But Bayley was gone. And if you're wondering about Becky was tossed over the top rope and basically ran away. She didn't even want any. She didn't even come back in the ring like a badass. She was tossed over. I know, BC, it's to make Nia look like a beast. Okay, well, you don't make Becky look like a bitch by making Nia look like a beast. 2 wrongs don't make a right. Nia being a beast leading into the Rumble, we've seen that tune play out too many times. And then you make Becky Lynch lose to Nia, get squashed by Nia 2 weeks ago. 1, 2, 3, flat on her back, looking up at the lights, sat on. And then this week, she's running away. And then what? She somehow wins the Rumble? She's going to take Rhea's championship after we just saw her manhandled by Nia Jax? That's not consistency. Becky Lynch is basically running away from Nia Jax. Damage Control was all there, by the way. They would show up in a tag match in hour 3. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Dominik Mysterio in The Miz was next. Dominik Mysterio defeats The Miz via pinfall. Post-match, DIY hits the ring to even the odds because Judgment Day was out there, McDonuts and such. So DIY hit the ring, and then the heels retreated was the ultimate culmination of that, right? DIY comes, and the heels are like, no way, man. The crowd does not care at all about DIY. That's the problem. Yet again, this crowd did not care. And by the way, the end of that ladies segment with Becky retreating, and they cut to Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, and you could see everybody behind them. Nobody even stood up for that segment. Nobody cared. You could have heard crickets or a pin drop. That's how bad that segment was, guys. Like, I don't know why that would be booked. What does that do? That doesn't do anything for the Rumble or WrestleMania. It doesn't even make you care about that moment. Bayley comes out of nowhere from SmackDown, instantly gets squashed, and Becky runs away. And we cut to Michael Cole and Wade Barrett. And then we go into Miz and Dominik, and DIY is the saviors. And you wonder why the crowd isn't pumped up. Why are you telling your fans to care about DIY? The casuals. They didn't see black and gold. So they don't care about these little dudes that are coming up with freaking gusto. You got to give them a reason. Just linking them up with the Miz, you're probably going to have to do better than that. Every time DIY comes out, it is absolutely, I mean, the crowd just wants to take a nap. DIY, where's my Blanky and Coco? I'm catching some Z's. Let me know when they're out of the ring. Backstage, Bronson Reed. Wait till you hear this one. Remember what Bronson said last week? Because I'll refresh the dome piece. Bronson Reed last week declared that he wanted to... He's going to take on a champion, or there's a champion. I think he said that there's a champion in WWE that doesn't know I'm going to take that title. So that's what they're setting up, right? Bronson Reed is focused on this champion and this championship title. But as I said in last week's Raw review, it doesn't make sense. There's no champion right now that Bronson could absolutely... Not even a storyline, let alone he's not taking the title. There's not even a story right now for him. He's not going to start something with Gunther again. They've already done that. And that was 2 heels, by the way. Didn't even make sense. But they've already done Gunther and Bronson. So that takes away the IC title. The world title, that's packed right now. First of all, Seth isn't having another match. Second of all, till WrestleMania. And second of all, CM Punk is going to be the guy to take it, if anybody. And if it wasn't, it would have been Drew. So Bronson's not taking that title. So what's left? The tag titles on Raw? Is he going to find a partner and go for the tag titles, I guess? Against the heels? Judgment Day, which again wouldn't make sense. So none of it made sense. And maybe they realized it this week. Because this week, he didn't even talk about the champion that he supposedly was going after. This week, he wants Jey Uso. And I think his excuse was, you're going after a title, and I know that, so I want to make sure you can't. Or so, what? Well, then that's the whole roster. Bronson Reed's entire mission statement switched in 1 week. I don't know. You could go another half an hour on this, but it's not even a big enough story to spend the time on. It's Bronson Reed. They don't know what they're doing with him. It's like Dexter Loomis and so many others. They have no clue. And then they put him on TV. They're like, all right, you're finally getting on TV. And then like, oh, wait, but we still have nothing for you. Ivar then defeats Gable via moonsault pinfall. So Ivar couldn't beat Tozawa last week, but he can beat the much better wrestler Chad Gable. Gable could really use W's right now. Tozawa, it would just be another L. But Tozawa's going to get the victory. Gable's going to get the L, because that makes sense. It was a good match, by the way. And I'm so proud of New Orleans. I really am. There was no, this is awesome. This it. Come on, guys. No, this is awesome, chant. They watched the match. They liked it. And they didn't over-exaggerate it by calling it awesome. It wasn't. It was good at best. And that's good. Right? We'll call it out if it's great, cool. And if it's awesome, that means that's something we're going to watch time and time again, right? That's going to live on in the annals of time. That's Shawn Michaels Undertaker WrestleMania 25 type action, right? Right? That's what awesome should be reserved for. Good job, New Orleans. I really do appreciate it. There was 3 times in that match I go, oh no, here we go. Yeah, they're laying down after a sequence. Right? A lot of moves were just performed, and now they're laying down. This is where the crowd is going to get antsy, like they should be participating, and they're going to ignite a chant. Thankfully, they never did. They watched it, and they go, oh, I like this. Let's see what they got next. How you going to top that? Ivar defeats Gable. And that ended hour number 2. Now, hour number 3 started with Cody Rhodes and CM Punk. I was thinking when this thing was done, like, just give me Rhodes and Punk at Mania. If Rollins cannot go, and Cody is not the one to finish the story, it is The Rock, then just do Punk and Cody. That's fun, right? After that face-to-face. But, of course, that's not happening. And that would just... Again, it loses substance because we see so many face versus face matches now, and heel versus heel for that matter. But that's what Paul Levesque McMahon loves to do. So it almost loses a little bit of flavor because of that. But on top of that, you're not seeing that anyway. That's just to plant some seeds for the Royal Rumble. So I don't mind that at all, believe it or not. There is a part of it that will hurt the individual that's getting less of a reaction. Case in point, last night, CM Punk was the bigger star. Cody Rhodes had a much lesser reaction. CM Punk chants far outweighed the Cody chants. In fact, it wasn't until the middle of the promo where we heard a legit Cody chant. They tried to get one going after the massive CM Punk chant, but it was so muffled. And then you heard a little bit in the middle, and then at the end, they had a little bit more fun. But CM Punk chants were just far outweighing the Cody ones. And that's what I mean. You know, Cody Rhodes gets hurt a little bit there because it's the first time you literally see them together and you get to hear the crowd's response. And it was like, whoa, Punk is the bigger star between the two. That's what hurts when you get a face versus face like that. That's what's not good. And that's kind of what hurt Warrior with Hogan. You know, Warrior was on that rise, and then they did the Warrior Hogan thing, and I loved it because they set it up beautifully. But that still doesn't mean that everything's hunky-dory. You're still going to get one of these wrestlers getting hurt a little bit from it. Hogan was still such a massive star that Warrior, even though they did it beautifully, Warrior, one of his best matches ever was that WrestleMania 6 main event against Hogan, and he beat Hogan, and he held up the IC title and the world title. But Hogan was still so massively popular that Warrior, that actually hurt him a lot. So you're thinking that's the biggest night for him, but it actually hurt him a lot too. And that's because, you're just taking a big risk when you take two top faces and you're putting them in that predicament because everybody now is going to see who's the bigger star. That's great for the bigger star. Not so much for the one that got the lesser reaction. But back to this promo, it got heated toward the end, and I believe it was CM Punk that took that first big jab because he says, you know, it's ironic because your pops was the common man, supposedly. But by the time you were born, he was already this big star, had all the money. That's how you got so many opportunities from the jump. Not that you didn't work hard for him as well, but he was already a big star, your pops. Whereas my pops, he was as blue collar as they come. He was an electrician. and you know, basically he never made it to the lengths or the heights that your pops did. So if you think about it, I'm more of the American dream than you. And that was the biggest whoa from the crowd, guys. That was the biggest line in the entire face-to-face back-and-forth promo. Easily, I can say that. Reaction-wise, anyway. I'm more of the American dream than you are. You sit there in these fancy suits, and here I am in the same sweats I wore to the gym. You know, just really taking everything that the Rhodes name was based on, right? The common man, the struggle in adversity. But in reality, you're sitting there in the nice fancy suits. Your pops reached the heights of heights. My pops always was that electrician. I'm still the dude in sweats. Man, it was just so good. And Cody got pissed, right? Storyline-wise. And Cody says, I know what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the pipe bomb, he says. He says, you sat at the top of that stage and talked a big game, and then you just left. You didn't care about passing the torch. You just dropped it, he said. You didn't even care who picked it up. But guess what? It was me that picked up that torch. And I did everything that you talked about in that pipe bomb. He says, so I guess that makes me more CM Punk than you. That really heated up Punk. Punk takes off the sweats. the hoodie. And he says, it's getting a little hot in here, I guess. They go to like nose to nose. And they have a little bit more of just about who's throwing who over the top rope, who's going to WrestleMania, how this is not about finishing a story, but for Punk finishing what he started. It was just well done. It's one of those things that if they gave him 10, 20, another hour, I would have been okay with. Just keep going. Now, some people are upset, right? They didn't talk about alternative entertainment wrestling. They didn't talk about AEW. They never were going to, nor should they. Believe it or not, the company isn't just going to spend their time talking about another company. They're on to other things, guys. They don't sit around getting upset because another company is putting on certain matches or whatever. I know that's hard to comprehend, but never was Cody and Punk going to make this about AEW. That's ridiculous. This is mania. They're talking about winning the Royal Rumble. These two are talking about WrestleMania main events. Do you guys realize this is the pinnacle in the wrestling business? You think they're going to talk about what? Dynamite? Fucking Rampage? What are they going to talk about, guys? What do you... I don't understand. This isn't about that. So anybody upset because they didn't talk about that, stop. That has nothing to do with this. They're on to way bigger things right now. Congrats and be happy for them. Anyway, the intense face-to-face before both men exited opposite sides of the ring. I like that, right? One didn't leave and the other's like, yeah, that's right. No, they both, out of mutual respect, it's the Paul Levesque McMahon era, mutual respect, but kind of more pissed off with each other than before that promo segment. So they both said, all right, you know what? This is getting really heated. I don't want to do something I'm going to regret. So you back up, I'll back up. We both go our separate ways. I really like how that was done. And they both exited from separate sides of the ring. Like it. Punk should have left it at that, but instead he goes over to Wade Barrett as Michael Cole's talking, and he says, I'm going to win the Rumble. And he has a little fun moment with Barrett. Again, it's a nice fun moment for all of us and between them. But I would have liked the seriousness to like stay there and linger, because Cody's really pissed off and he's thinking about everything Punk just said. And Punk, when he exited, was pissed off thinking about what Cody said. And then it turned into a laugh with Wade Barrett. I was like, all right, well, well, there goes that moment. But that was the segment of the night, and that was the most talked about segment. And again, with the Rumble in four nights from now, I'm okay with it. Unfortunately, it doesn't lead to a one-on-one, though. You're not going to get that, at least not anytime in the foreseeable future. Could you imagine if they did that at Elimination Chamber, one-on-one? Punk versus Cody. Again, I mean, in the promo, you felt bad for Cody because the CM Punks were so loud. Could you imagine if they put them in a match together? It's only going to be a detriment to one of them. But for a moment, for a night, we're all going to have a lot of fun with it. I just don't know how much damage will be done going forward. Oh, interesting, man. Anyway, that was the start of the third hour. Rhodes and Punk. And again, a lot of people just wanted more or expected more. I thought it was fine. A little bit more would have been okay, but not for the subject matter that many wanted. Just the same thing they were doing, but maybe even more. Hit some more big jabs. Each one of them had one big one, and that was it. Other than that, I like the segment, though. Video package then played, saluting and acknowledging the 40-year anniversary of Hulk Hogan's first title reign. 40 years of Hulkamania running wild. And that long multi-year record of 1474. Is it happening? And guys, remember, I was the very first one to break that story to you guys because this is what was being discussed down at the Performance Center, which means people had heard things from Stanford. And it always filters down to the Performance Center, and that's where my people hear these things. And if I think there's substance to it, I'm going to tell you guys. I hear a lot of things you guys never know about because I just don't know if there's substance or not. And a lot of it, I'm glad I held back on because it didn't come to fruition. Other stuff, I tell you guys, and it's exactly what I heard. Sometimes I tell you guys and it just doesn't happen, and then I'm like, nah. But there was substance to it. This, I'm telling you for sure, has been talked about for a long time. Doesn't mean it's happening. You could get a new champion at Mania. Roman could lose the title. But I am telling you, for a long time now, I was the first one to tell you guys this in the community. They're talking about Roman possibly keeping his title even after Philadelphia's Mania 40. No matter who his opponent is, Roman keeps it and takes Hulk Hogan's second place record of 1474 because they're already chucking aside Bob Backlund. So at that point, only Paul Levesque McMahon's boy, Bruno Sammartino, will be in the way of Roman Reigns. And I don't think he's ever getting that, right? Right? Could you imagine Roman's carrying this thing another several years? But I truly believe they want to make a big deal out of Roman taking Hogan's record. And if you guys think that's in a long, far away distance, it's not. It's this summer, guys. It's right around SummerSlam. Right, they just have to get to the summer, and Roman Reigns just took Hulk Hogan's record in the annals of time. This company loves that type of talk, the records. Paul Levesque McMahon loves Bruno Sammartino. If he can get Roman over Hulk Hogan, which HHH was never that fond of, they're going to do it. We were hearing about this so long ago. I felt there was enough substance in the conversation to tell you guys, and I'm glad I did, because I was forewarning you that this is a likely scenario. Roman could hold the title when Mania is all said and done. And then you can bet your ass he's taking Hulk Hogan's record. And last night, if you didn't catch the show, they heavily promoted Hulk Hogan's 40-year reign. You wouldn't see that. They wouldn't make such a spectacle out of it if they weren't honestly thinking, we're only a few months away from Hulk Hogan's record. Damn, we got to do it. And by the way, if you do The Rock and Roman, there's their out. Right, Cody would be a lot more back. How dare Cody doesn't finish his story 2 years in a row. But if you already in advance say it's Rock versus Roman, well, over time they're going to get over it. And they're going to enjoy that main event anyway because it's the biggest story you could possibly think of in pro wrestling right now. The Rock and Roman. And that's really not even about a title. Just like Jey Uso and Roman. Was it SummerSlam last year? One of those events. Where it wasn't really about the title. It was about that red tribal lay. Who's the real tribal chief of the family? Of course, Jay's not. But in WWE, can Jay dethrone Roman? But in terms of their actual family dynamic, who's the real provider of the family? The real tribal chief? Dwayne Johnson or Joanna Y? Roman or The Rock? It's the biggest storyline. And they know they can have The Rock lose that. And it's no harm, no foul. It wouldn't be like Cody, yet again, laying down next to a rubber chicken 2 years in a row. So you could do The Rock Roman. It's not even really about the title for a lot of us. And Roman walks out with the title. Hulk Hogan video packages, guys. 2 separate packages last night. They honored him with a special video package, went to commercial, came back, and had another video package with merchandise actually being sold. Moving on with hour number 3, Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler. This was Zoey Stark, Shayna Baszler defeating Candice LeRae and Indi Hartwell, residential jobbers in WWE. Maybe we can have a jobber tag team match with the ladies. Candice and Indi versus Alba and Isla. Right? The winners are declared the mayor of Jobberville. The mayors with an S. Right? Who's going to be the mayors of Jobberville for the ladies? Indi Hartwell and Candice LeRae take another L. Kind of a shame. I'm not that big on Candice, but Indi Hartwell, she's good. I'm not just talking about in the ring. I'm talking about just like storyline-wise, she's believable. I think that's what it is. Very real. The realism in her kind of, it jumps off the screen. So I'm hoping in the future they do something with Indi. I don't know what they're going to do with Candice, but for now I know one thing: they put Candice with Indi, and they're just Barry Horowitz and what the heck was the dude's? I can't even think of the other job. See, that's what happens when you're a jobber. You'll be forgotten about. Barry Horowitz and the Brooklyn Brawler. There you go. They're just the female versions of. So again, Stark and Baszler win this match. And then post-match, all of Damage Control attack Carter and Chance, who were at ringside for this. So your champions Carter and Chance, which the original word we heard was Carter and Chance were going to be taking on Baszler and Stark. But they were at ringside, and then Damage Control jumps the barricade and starts to attack Carter and Chance. I don't even know who ended the segment with the upper hand. Maybe it was Damage Control, and maybe they got beat up by all the faces. I don't even know. But you brought all of Damage Control from the Blue Brand SmackDown to have Bayley get literally squashed, or she just disappeared. Again, I don't know what happened to Bayley. She came out for the Becky Lynch Nia segment. I blinked and she was gone. I'm guessing she got sat on and just disappeared into pixie dust. And then the rest of Damage Control out of nowhere attacks Carter and Chance to pump up their Friday Night SmackDown match, I guess. Okay. And then backstage, Adam Pearce is like, Bayley, I brought you to SmackDown to promote Royal Rumble. I didn't think you guys were going to cause damage. I don't even know, man. Like, if you're bringing Damage Control to Monday Night Raw, you would hope that it's for a really big segment, right? Like, let's do something special. Maybe, am I asking too much? Memorable? Possibly? They come over and they use Bayley like that. Damage Control. This whole thing, the match and the post-match beating, guys, it was about 4 minutes. And then we moved right on to a commercial so we can set up the main event. Now, if you're wondering, the main event was Drew McIntyre versus Damien Priest, heel versus heel, or heel versus tweener, because Drew Mac is kind of right in the middle, so the crowd is confused, obviously, and that's how they were this entire match. The crowd was just confused this whole match, because both are heels, supposedly. But Drew McIntyre still showed all those glimpses of a babyface, right? He goes into the corner, 3, 2, 1, Claymore Party! And all the crowd does it, and then immediately shuts up, because they're like, oh, were we supposed to do that? This is one of those scenarios, guys. A full heel turn will be beneficial for Drew McIntyre. But a failure to fully commit to the heel turn will just be detrimental. So you commit to the heel turn, beneficial. You fail to commit to the heel turn, detrimental. Beneficial, detrimental. I'll take beneficial, thank you. Drew McIntyre, he's at a crossroads, no pun intended to Cody, but he's at a crossroads, man. He literally, this matters. I feel he's really good as a heel. His promos against the top baby faces the past couple weeks with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes, they've been good. There's no reason to have this guy a tweener. When he came back after his hiatus, right? He lost the triple threat at Mania. He takes a little bit of time off. He comes back. You're going to set up a Seth Rollins feud anyway. So have him come back as the diabolical heel who wants the title. Instead, he comes back as the same babyface, and they put him right into the same feud he was in when he left with Gunther. And he loses that. Then they have him go into the Seth Rollins world title feud anyway, even though he just lost the IC title feud with Gunther yet again. They decided to still put him with Seth, and they kept him as a face. And the second time, they made him a little bit more of a tweener, right? Just a little more edge. Not Adam Copeland, just more of a meaner side. Not enough. Now he's main eventing Monday Night Raw against another heel, Damien Priest, right before the Royal Rumble, and you wonder why the crowd couldn't care less? The end of this match, R-Truth is out there. He's doing a bunch of silly things because it's R-Truth. We like R-Truth, but it's the Rumble. Are we really ending it with comedy like this? R-Truth has a stack of money. He's trying to give it to Damien during the match. Damien's like, get out of here. He's like, oh, I know what you want. You want it in your briefcase. What's your password? What's the code? What's the code? So Drew freaking decks him. And Damien hits South of Heaven. He has the cover, but R-Truth won't get out of the ring. He's chasing little Jimmy around the ring or something. He just won't get out. So Damien's like, come on, man. I had him pinned. And all of a sudden, Claymore! 1, 2, 3. It's Drew McIntyre that gets the W. And R-Truth is like, oops. And that ends the show. Michael Cole's like, Rumble, Saturday. That's it. We're out of time. Good night, everybody. Like, where's the cliffhanger? It's the Royal Rumble. As cheesy as it is, we've seen it so many times, maybe it's better if you just have the locker room empty out and everybody's in the ring brawling. Maybe that would be more fun. But Drew just wins this, and the crowd doesn't care because he's a tweener now. And R-Truth is doing some comedy stuff with Damien. Oh, sorry, man. We got to pick up all the cash in the ring that he dropped. I don't know what's that. And then we just go off the air to Barmageddon with Nikki Bella, Nikki Garcia. It didn't feel like a Royal Rumble go-home show. I know. You'll see, there'll be people. And this was a great Raw. Well, thankfully, there's BC to go pump the brakes on that. If you liked it, that's cool. That's your prerogative. Right? If you liked it, that's totally cool. But pump the brakes on this was a great Raw. No. Now you're trying to take this and trying to factually state that it was a great Raw. That's not the... I'm going through 3 pages of notes, 2.5 pages of notes. No, it was not a great Raw. This was a go-home show. Now, the good news is there's no Monday Night Football opposition, right? I always say that's never an excuse anyway. Holidays, Monday Night Football, playoffs, championship games. I don't care. It's not an excuse. Even if you're going to get beat, at least put your best product out there to lessen the blow as much as possible. I don't care if it's 10,000 viewers. But you managed to save that 10,000 viewership because you put out a better show. So it's not about getting beat by all of the opposition, okay? Getting beat by the NFL. It's not even about that. It's about putting your best product out there, getting the best possible rating that you can. But I've always said Monday Night Football, playoffs, holidays, of course they affect ratings. It's up to you to decide how much it affects you. But of course it affects it a little bit. The problem with WWE, it's been so bad for so long that Monday Night Football doesn't affect it that much anymore. So if you're asking me if I'd be shocked that Monday Night Raw only pulled a 1.7 or a 1.8, no, I wouldn't be. I would not be at all. I would be absolutely shocked if they hit 2.0 because your average has been 1.4. So that's 600,000 viewers. I don't see how that would be possible. But a 1.7, 1.8 with no Monday Night Football, yeah, you should be getting that. If they pull anything less than a 1.7, 1.8, that is a catastrophic failure. An absolute failure. You have no Monday Night Football opposition. And you can't pull over a 1.7, 1.8? Because that's what they were at. That's what they were at going into Monday Night Football. It was low. I tried to tell you guys. It's not just football that's making Raw's rating so low. They were already really low. When you're so low for so long, not solo Sokoa, but when you're so low for so long, that becomes the new normal. That's the new trend. So we'll see. With no Monday Night Football opposition, that'll greatly pump up the number. But if the show was much better, could have been much better. Till next time, guys, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we are out. BC saying check you. Thank you a lot, guys, for tuning into this entire review. I know it was a lot. BC had a lot of coffee, a lot to talk about. So if you stayed for the entire review, this entire upload, you are the absolute top tier in the Amplified unit, and I appreciate you guys. Channel members, a special salute to you guys too, man. We'll be doing a channel member live stream at some point, hopefully this week. So for all my channel members, we're going to rock out. Big shout outs, all of it, for all my gold card board of directors. Until next time, there will be that next time. Check you. BC saying peace.